Did you know in 2026 there are only two muscle mail order courses available to buy? Those two being the Master Method of Health, Strength, and Bodybuilding by Bill Hinburn and David P. Willoughby. And number two being the Charles Atlas Dynamic Tension course. Now those two certainly aren't going to be in this 60-year-old magazine. And we have to jump way back in the past, way farther than 60 years, to get some history and a story about the thousands of mail order courses that were around and for the rise and the fall of the king of all of them. So stay tuned. On March 3rd, 1863, an act of Congress was passed and became effective on July 1st, 1863. The act allowed the free city delivery of mail. This expanded the post office, and with it allowed the transfer of knowledge to a greater number of people via mail. That means people could send books, magazines, and you guessed, correspondence courses of all kinds. That would include physical fitness courses. Another unrelated topic that helped popularize those courses was photography. You could now show via a handful of photographs. No longer do you need an in-person coach. Just follow my instructions and photographs. Anthony Barker, in 1889, with his 24 lessons, was the first mail-order muscle courses. Then came Professor H. W. Titus, Alois Swoboda, Lionel Strongfort, Sigmund Breitbart, Bernard McFadden, who created the first fitness magazine in America and bodybuilding show, where Al Traylor won. Al Traylor made his own as well. And Alan Calvert, who was the first manufacturer of barbells, dumbbells, and kettlebells here in America, and of course sold courses along with them. And of course we have Charles Atlas and George F. Jowett, who was a patriarch of American weightlifting and actually has a patent for a adjustable plate-loaded dumbbell. And those were just to name a few in America. If we had to count on all the people that were in Europe and other countries as well, such as Saxon, such as Eugene Sandow, George Hackenschmidt, Thomas Inch, we could be here all day. Truth be told, there was thousands of them across the world who were advertising everywhere. But they were all fighting in second place. And who was in first place? A man named Earl Lederman. And you might be thinking, who? Earl Lederman was born October 14th, 1888. And from all accounts and what we have read about, his childhood wasn't an easy one. He was born to John and Albertina, who were Swedish immigrants, and they lived in a run-down apartment in Brooklyn. This is a quote from Kenneth Terrell, Lederman's office manager at the time, about his childhood. Quote, "The family home consisted of one room in a dilapidated tenement, and there was no heat of any kind," unquote. And real fast, I want to just make this clear that most of this biographical and historical information for this video comes from the following article. Before Charles Atlas, Earl Lederman, the 1920s King of Mail Order Muscle, by Benjamin Pollack and Jan Todd, published in the Journal of Sport History, Volume 44, Number 3, Fall 2017, page 399 to 420. And I will put down a link in the description for you guys. I'm now continuing the quote. So, quote, "When Lederman was 7, his mother took him to see the Barnum and Bailey Circus, where the strongman Pierre Gasnier performed. There, Gasnier lifted twice his body weight overhead using one hand, and it astounded Lederman. Inspired by him, he began to read muscle magazines, including Physical Culture, clipping pictures of other strongmen like Warren Lincoln, Travis, and George Hackenschmidt for scrapbooks and posters," unquote. He then attended New York City Normal School and became a physical educator for the New York City Board of Education. However, this did not last long. After 1 year in 1908, he quit. This is when he became a vaudeville strongman from 1909 to 1917. This is also the time he became friends with and met Angelo Siciliano, better known as Charles Atlas. After he quit vaudeville, he then started advertising his course in the pages of Physical Culture magazine. That's when the aggressive advertising began. Quote, by 1923, they stretched across 6 pages inside Strength magazine, unquote. He promised everything. With his mail order course, you could have the body like Sandow, or even better, like himself, in just 90 days. Add inches to your bicep, add inches to your legs, your back, your arms, you name it. Shoot, these courses will give you more energy, more vitality. Wink, wink. They would give you more money. They would make women fall for you, and they would make men envious of you. So for your small $37 contribution, $700 in today's money, by the way, you could have learned all the training secrets that he held dear, and that was not shared with the public. I hate to break it to you guys, but these courses didn't really contain anything that special. Mainly just basic calisthenics moves, moderate, 10 to 15 reps, a little bit of a dietary introduction of general what to do, what not to do diet-wise. He had some body part specific courses, weightlifting, chest expander work, this type of thing. By the mid 1920s, late 1920s, his courses were, quote, the widest known bodybuilding courses in the world, unquote. And that was from Kenneth Terrell, his office manager. The man was living large. He was making a ton of money, but he was spending a ton of money. On advertising alone, he would spend $100 on one piece. That's the equivalent of like $2,000 to $4,000 today. And he did this hundreds of times. This is a quote. By 1929, he was spending $500,000 per year in advertisement to receive over $1 million of revenue per year. $1 million back then, guys. Oh my God. His outreach was insane. Hundreds or millions of dollars, and had tens of thousands of men as customers. Unreal and unquote. He was on cloud 9. Money brought him fame. He lived in a lavish apartment at the famous Hotel Teresa for $3,000 a month, $57,000 in today's money. With his wife, Helmar, a former Miss Alaska. He drove around in a rare imported Italian sports car. Paparazzi followed him around, and he loved every minute of it. Then he flew too close to the sun. A series of events led him to his downfall. The Great Economic Depression of 1929 for one, but also the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, was cracking down hard on these muscle-by-mail vendors. Quote, on April 21st, 1930, former vaudeville strongman Earl Edwin Lederman appeared before the Federal Trade Commission to defend himself against charges of using unfair methods of competition in interstate commerce. The FTC alleged that Lederman advertised his physical culture correspondence courses using statements that were, quote, palpably false, quote, and made for the purpose of deceiving. Representing the commission was Alfred M. Craven of Spokane, Washington, a man with nearly 2 decades of trial experience. Craven called no witnesses and offered no substantial testimony of his own. Instead, presented as evidence were over 12 advertisements that guaranteed a man could transform his life in just a few short weeks by following Lederman's course. The course held secrets, claiming the ads, quote, never offered before in the history of physical culture, unquote. Secrets that allowed one to build huge amounts of muscles quickly and with relatively little effort. That muscle would allegedly earn a man wealth, social status, and female adoration. These promises, Craven argued emphatically, were bunk. In a truly Hamletic defense, Lederman pleaded for leniency from the commission. He protested, alternatively, that he had never intentionally misled customers, that he was cooperating with the Better Business Bureau, and that he could not possibly be asked to verify all the testimonials he received from satisfied customers, a request the commission had never made. He asked the FTC how he could revise his advertisements to comply with the law promising, quote, "If there are any changes to be made, why, I will gladly make them, but I would like the commission to outline how the changes should be made," unquote. These arguments were rejected. Quote, "Even if censoring came within the function of the commission, respondent's invitation, in view of the multiplicity of his letters, suggests considerable of a job," unquote, argued Craven. It seems that the respondent should avail himself to the services of some honest advertising agency. The court agreed with Craven. On February 10th, 1931, Lederman was ordered to cease and desist publication of the offending advertisements, a verdict that cost him well over $100,000 in the short run and subsequently led to the demise of the business empire, unquote. Well, Lederman would never reach this level of success again. His wife left him for another man. He lost all of his money. He spent a considerable amount of time in a mental institute for his depression. He was even caught on the streets swiping milk off of doorsteps. He was still in the iron game, though. Life may take things away from you, but you always still have the iron. Good case for that. But anyway, he became a writer under Bob Hoffman in the Strength and Health magazine, which is also strange because Bob Hoffman bought all of his copyrighted stuff and was using it. He then later became a writer for Ben and Joe Weider in various magazine articles and magazines. And his story is not very unique. Depression nearly killed all of America's physical culture. And I get goosebumps just talking about it. It's so insane that this happened. And all the guys I mentioned earlier, the guys that were fighting for second place with him, all of them pretty much went out of business too. In fact, George Jowett sent a letter to his friend in 1931 saying, his friend's name was Otley Coulter, saying that physical culture in America was ruined beyond measure, quote. But don't fret, ladies and gentlemen. As we know, physical culture was reanimated by York and Bob Hoffman for nearly half a century. Let me know in the comments if you want a more full description of that story too. Happy to do that. But what made his courses so appealing to the mass public? His advertisement was on freaking point. These ads fed on you and your insecurities, men and women alike. And they used guilt and promises of getting a better physique. And these mental images and ads stayed with you mentally. Are you a real man? Stop being weak. Are you tired of being last? You will make more money if you have more muscle. You too can have the body of insert famous strongman. And number two, they were simple and convenient. Remember that back in the day, 1920s, you're really not finding a gym with all this equipment. Okay? You're lucky if you lived in a metropolitan area that had a good gym, or you're in New York near Sid Klein's gym. But other than that, you needed convenience. And half the time, waiting around for 2, 3, 4, 5 months to get your mail order course was more worth it than either moving to a bigger city or waiting for your current city to get a gym with this equipment. A quote from Jan Todd in her landmark article From Milo to Milo, A History of Barbells, Dumbbells, and Indian Clubs. And I'll send this link in the description as well. Quote, during the 1880s and 1890s, heavy dumbbells and barbells were nearly impossible to find. In America, Peck and Snyder's price list of out and indoor sport and pastimes for 1886, for example, offered a good assortment of rowing machines, pulleys, cables, exercisers, and wooden clubs and dumbbells. But their iron dumbbells only went up to 50 pounds in weight. No iron barbells of any sort appeared in the catalog, even at the turn of the century. Heavy equipment does not readily available in the United States. The 1902 Sears and Roebuck's catalog, for instance, only offered dumbbells up to 25 pounds in weight. Again, no barbells were available for purchase, unquote. And number 3, they sold a quick, convenient way for an easy out. We all know working out, training, takes time, takes effort. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. It takes a considerable amount of planning, goal setting, and changing your overall lifestyle and life decisions. It's a big responsibility and it's a big life change to change how you look and how others see you. We can all agree on that. That's why if it was easy, everyone would do it. But these mail order courses would switch that narrative, that you could do it in 10 to 15 minutes with simple calisthenics moves, that you could do it with just simple diet changes. So yeah, in 90 days you can have the physique and strength of a modern Hercules. Or with these 5-pound dumbbells, you can change your life and become an Olympic weightlifter. Or you can lose 10 inches off your waist by summer. Are any of these ringing a bell? Do they sound anything like you've heard of today? Anyway. Or use this one piece of equipment. Use this hand gripper. Use this chest expander. Use whatever this thing is. And I want to make it clear that you absolutely can build muscle and a good body with chest expanders, light calisthenics, any of those other apparatuses. It's possible. That's not what we're trying to debunk here. And if all those things have done well for you, I'm happy for you. But this is not what those guys were selling. Eugene Sandow did use heavy weights and other training methods to achieve his body. Earl Lederman was an accomplished gymnast and vaudeville strongman who used barbells, dumbbells, calisthenics. Anton Matisek, a muscle control expert, was a professional strongman and at one point was the strongest man in America before being beaten by Sid Klein. He makes the ridiculous claim in his course that you can have the same level of physical development as him with muscle control alone. He admits the fact that he trained with heavy weights along with his muscle control. His course will allow you to improve your abilities on muscle control, but it will not give you 16-inch biceps he promotes. For that, you would need more than just flexing your bicep. And George Jowett skirted the line. He greatly exaggerated the results you could achieve in his ads. He did mention that he built his remarkable physique and grip strength using heavy barbells, an anvil, and a dumbbell, but he still wanted you to buy his light plate loaded dumbbell. Then there's me. In recent months, I've gained more subscribers and attention promoting the use of the chest expander. I sincerely hope that I did not mislead anyone. I love the chest expander. I believe it's a wonderful piece of home gym equipment that you can make incredible gains in physical development and strength with. Mainly in the upper body, like any type of training method, it has its disadvantages and advantages. I hope I made them clear. I don't want you, the viewer, to think that I made my upper body strength using it alone. I have been weight training for years. I'm just rambling on now. All I want you to take away is this. Just be the best version of yourself, regardless of the training method or what training tools you use. See where the physical journey takes you. And I also want to say I use many types of training: weights, calisthenics, gymnastics, rings, chest crusher, and the chest expander. I always do my best to never mislead or lie to my audience. That's why I always cite my sources on camera and show you what I'm actually doing. Comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. I'll end with a quote from Al Treloar, the winner of the first bodybuilding contest in America in 1904. This is from the March 1904 issue of Physical Culture, page 187 to 189. Quote, our duty to future generations should be a cogent region for physical as well as mental self-improvement. The man or woman who brings his or her body to the highest possible state of perfection not only laws up a store of health and happiness for personal enrichment, but is bequeathing to the children a legacy of strength, vigor, and life, a freedom from evil tendencies, and a pleasure more valuable than palaces or titles.